NASA is sending a spacecraft to an asteroid. That number, $10 quintillion, is so large it exceeds the combined gross domestic product of every nation on Earth by a factor of more than 1,000. The world's entire economy produces approximately $100 trillion per year. The asteroid 16 Psyche, according to headlines that have circulated since 2017, contains more value than that, 1,000 times more. Every newspaper, every science website, every viral tweet, the same headline, the same number. The asteroid that could make everyone on Earth a billionaire. There is just one problem. The number is not real, and the reason it is not real tells us something far more interesting than the headline ever could. Let us start with where the $10 quintillion figure actually came from. In 2017, Lindy Elkins-Tanton, an astronomer and economist at Arizona State University and the lead scientist on NASA's Psyche mission, published a rough theoretical calculation. At the time, the scientific consensus was that asteroid 16 Psyche was composed almost entirely of iron and nickel, essentially a solid metal ball drifting through the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. Elkins-Tanton took the estimated mass of Psyche, applied the current market prices for iron and nickel on Earth, and arrived at a figure of approximately $10 quintillion. She was transparent about what the calculation was, a thought experiment designed to illustrate the sheer scale of the asteroid's potential mineral content. It was never intended as a realistic economic valuation. It was never presented to NASA as a mining proposal. It was a number that helped people understand just how much material was out there in space. The internet, however, treated it as a headline, and headlines have a way of outlasting the context that gave birth to them. Here is what has actually changed since 2017. Scientists now have significantly better data about what 16 Psyche actually contains, and it is not a solid metal core. Observations using ground-based telescopes, thermal emission measurements, and radar imaging have collectively produced a bulk density estimate for Psyche of approximately 3.9 grams per cubic centimeter. Here is why that matters. Pure iron nickel, the material that the original $10 quintillion calculation assumed Psyche was made of, has a bulk density of approximately 7.9 grams per cubic centimeter. Psyche's measured density is roughly half of what a solid metal asteroid would be. The most recent scientific consensus, published in peer-reviewed journals, is that Psyche is composed of between 30% and 60% metal by volume, with the remainder being rock, silicate minerals, and potentially some hydrated material. It is not a solid metal world. It is a metal-rich world, which is still extraordinary, but dramatically different from the picture painted by the original valuation. Even setting aside the composition question, even in a hypothetical universe where Psyche were entirely solid iron and nickel, the $10 quintillion figure would still be economically meaningless. And the reason why reveals something fundamental about how value actually works. The global iron market produces approximately 2.5 billion tons of iron ore per year, generating revenues of roughly $2.5 trillion annually. The global nickel market is smaller, approximately $40 billion per year. These markets function because iron and nickel are scarce enough that the cost of extracting, refining, and transporting them is economically justified against the price buyers are willing to pay. Now imagine delivering the entire mineral content of Psyche to Earth. At Psyche's estimated metal content, even at 30% of its mass, you would be adding more iron and nickel to Earth's supply than has been mined in the entire history of human civilization, multiplied by thousands. The supply of iron would increase by orders of magnitude. The price of iron would collapse to essentially zero. A material whose value depends entirely on its scarcity cannot retain that value once it becomes unlimited. The $10 quintillion assumes Earth-equivalent commodity pricing, but the act of mining Psyche would instantly and permanently destroy Earth-equivalent commodity pricing for iron and nickel. The number eats itself. This does not mean asteroid mining has no economic future. For in-space applications, constructing orbital habitats, building spacecraft in space without the cost of launching materials from Earth's gravity, providing raw materials for lunar or Martian colonies, asteroid metal has genuine future value. SpaceX, NASA, and several private companies are already exploring the economics of in-space resource utilization. The business case exists. It just has nothing to do with shipping iron back to Earth. So why is NASA actually going to 16 Psyche? And why did it spend hundreds of millions of dollars building and launching a spacecraft to reach it? The answer has nothing to do with mining. and it is more extraordinary than any dollar figure. Scientists believe that 16 Psyche may be the exposed metallic core of an ancient planetesimal, one of the building blocks of the rocky planets that formed our solar system approximately 4.5 billion years ago. The leading hypothesis is that Psyche was once a larger body, a protoplanet, that underwent one or more catastrophic collisions during the violent early history of the solar system. Those collisions stripped away its outer rocky mantle and crust, leaving behind the dense metallic core. What orbits between Mars and Jupiter today may be the naked heart of a world that never fully formed. Why does that matter? Because Earth has a metallic core too. Every rocky planet in our solar system, Earth, Mars, Mercury, Venus, has an iron-nickel core at its center. Those cores formed through the same process of planetary differentiation that Psyche's hypothetical parent body underwent. But Earth's core lies approximately 1/800 miles below the surface, separated from us by layers of mantle and crust that no drilling technology has ever penetrated. We have never seen it. We have never touched it. We have only inferred its existence from seismic waves and gravitational measurements. Visiting Psyche would give humanity its first direct look at the composition, structure, and history of a metallic planetary core. It would let scientists test their models of how planets form, how cores develop, and what the interior of Earth itself might look like. That knowledge has no price tag, because no price tag can capture what it means to finally see the interior of a world. NASA's Psyche spacecraft launched on October 13, 2023, aboard a SpaceX Falcon Heavy rocket from Kennedy Space Center in Florida. The spacecraft is approximately the size of a small van and is powered by solar electric propulsion, using sunlight converted to electricity to drive ion thrusters that push it through space at remarkably low fuel consumption. On May 15, 2026, Psyche completed its Mars gravity assist, flying within 864 miles of the Martian surface, and using the planet's gravitational pull as a natural slingshot to boost its speed by approximately 1,000 miles per hour. The maneuver also shifted the spacecraft's orbital plane by about 1 degree relative to the Sun, putting it on a direct course for the asteroid belt. Asteroid 16 Psyche's gravity will capture the spacecraft in late July 2029. In August 2029, Psyche will begin its prime science mission, spending approximately 2 years orbiting the asteroid at a series of different altitudes. Its instruments include a multispectral imager to map the surface in color, a gamma-ray and neutron spectrometer to measure the asteroid's elemental composition, a magnetometer to detect any remnant magnetic field from its ancient molten core, and a radio instrument to precisely measure the asteroid's gravity field. Together, these instruments will give scientists the most detailed portrait of a metallic asteroid ever obtained. The mission will also test NASA's Deep Space Optical Communication System, an experiment in transmitting data using laser light rather than radio waves, a technology that could dramatically increase the bandwidth of future deep space communications. What Psyche finds when it arrives in 2029 may rewrite what we know about how rocky planets form. It may confirm that Psyche is the exposed core of a lost world. Or it may reveal something entirely unexpected, a composition that forces scientists back to the drawing board and reshapes the models that have guided planetary science for decades. The real treasure orbiting between Mars and Jupiter is not $10 quintillion worth of iron and nickel. It is a 4.5 billion-year-old relic of the solar system's violent youth, a window into processes that shaped every planet we have ever known, including the one we live on. And in August 2029, humanity will see it up close for the first time. This video is for educational purposes only, not financial advice. Follow Vault. We tell you what they don't.